Dr. Staley, you said you worked at Bay Health for 3 years, correct?
Yes.
And you stated earlier that you worked on about 100 toxicology reports in your time at Bay Health?
Yes.
So, I mean, would you want to ballpark it, maybe say 150, since you're not completely sure as to how many toxicology reports you filed?
That's right. Okay.
Have you worked anywhere else in the last 3 years?
Yes, I have.
Where else have you worked?
I worked at Seattle Grace Hospital and I worked at Ridgeville.
And while you were working here, were they, did you work at these hospitals at the same time that you were at Bay Health, or?
No, different times.
So why didn't you discuss your time at the other 2 hospitals during your direct examination?
Objection, Your Honor. Under Rule 402 is a waste of time. The disclosure of employment at other hospitals by the witness is irrelevant to establishing the credibility as an expert witness. The defense this is a pointless line of questioning.
Your Honor, on her direct examination, the witness testified that she had worked at Bay Health for 3 years, but now on her cross-examination, she's actually testifying that she has in fact worked at 3 different hospitals in the last 3 years. And in fact, at this time, I would like to move to impeach Dr. Staley under Rule 607 of the Federal Rules of Evidence because she's giving the court misinformation.
Objection, Your Honor. Under Rule 613, prior statements of witnesses, this impeachment is, she cannot impeach my witness. Evidence of a prior inconsistent statement made by the witness is not admissible unless the witness is afforded the opportunity to explain the inconsistency. My line of questioning allowed her to omit the fact that she had worked at the other hospitals previously. An admission of her other employment does not discredit her as an expert.
The impeachment is overruled. I'll allow this line of questioning, but choose your questions wisely.
Okay, so Dr. Staley, why didn't you discuss your time at the other 2 hospitals earlier during your direct examination?
I didn't feel it was relevant because you're asking me about a case that I worked on hospital at Cranway.
So why didn't you think that it was relevant that you should have told the court that she's been at 2 other hospitals in the last 3 years?
Because the current case is for Bay Health and the other 2 cases are for those 2 hospitals. So yeah.
You also said earlier that rat poison is not available to the general public, correct?
Yes, I did.
So how would someone come into...
Your Honor, I object. That's a misstatement of what my witness said. The witness said that rat poison was available to the general public, but the chemicals themselves were not available to the general public.
Your Honor, the chemicals in rat poison, which the witness has testified to that are found when combined in rat poison. She said twice on her direct examination that these chemicals were not readily available to
The chemicals themselves, but rat poison, yes, I believe that can be an accepted fact. Like diabetes causing rage in patients, that a generally accepted fact that rat poison is available to the general public.
Since she did say it is overruled, Counsel.
So how would someone purchase these chemicals if it's not readily available to the general public?
They would have to, you have to do research in order to find places that sell it. You can't find it at the average store.
So then it is readily available to the general public, correct? No further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
You may be seated.
Your Honor, at this time the prosecution rests.
All righty. The defense may call its witness.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the defense would like to call Kenita Stewart to the witness stand.
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Good morning, Ms. Stewart.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name, your full legal name to the court?
Kenita Latrice Stewart.
And how old are you?
I'm 22.
Where do you currently reside?
At 201 North Front Street.
And what is your current occupation?
I'm a full-time student.
Where do you attend school?
Wesley College.
And what year are you at Wesley?
I'm a senior.
What is your major?
Legal studies.
Do you like Wesley?
It would be better.
When are you scheduled to graduate from Wesley College?
I was scheduled to graduate last month, but these professors be on games, so this month I'm graduating.
And what is your current GPA?
A 3.5.
What do you plan on doing when you graduate from Wesley?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance. This is a waste of time. This line of question has nothing to do with the case.
Your Honor, I'm simply trying to lay the foundation for why this witness is present here today in court, and I'm also trying to lay the foundation for why she would have been present in the classroom on November 29th debate in question.
Overruled, Counselor. You may proceed.
So what do you plan on doing when you graduate from Weston?
I plan on working for Dover PD for 3 years.
How many classes are you currently taking at Weston College?
Only one.
And what is the name of your class?
Forensics.
What grade do you have in your class right now?
A.
And who is your professor?
Dr. Staley.
Dr. Staley or Dr. Sullivan?
Dr. Sullivan.
How would you describe your professor?
She's mean, she's rude, disrespectful, unprofessional, and that lady. Sure.
So is it fair to say that you don't really like your professor?
I wouldn't say I don't like her, but just like all professors, they have problems.
So far, what have you learned in your forensics class?
I learned how the body works, different careers you can use in forensics, investigation skills, stuff like that.
And have you had any large projects or assignments so far this year in your forensics class?
Yeah, we had a paper and a PowerPoint.
And what did you write about for your paper, or what did you present about for your PowerPoint?
I presented about the forensics of the body.
Now, did you have to present your PowerPoint?
I didn't get a chance to.
Why didn't you present your PowerPoint?
Because the professor canceled class because she was sick. So I had to go another day, but I didn't get a chance to.
So was anybody scheduled to present on November 29th, 2016?
Ronnie, Jay, Eric, and Julian.
Did Julian's presentation, well, how did Julian's presentation go?
He didn't get a chance to go.
Why not?
He had to go back to his room to get his PowerPoint, but someone had to text him and tell him to come back because he was taking so long.
So when he came back, did he present?
Objection, Your Honor. The defense is leading the witness. Under Rule 611C, she cannot lead the witness on direct examination.
I will restate my question, Your Honor. What happened when Julian came back to the classroom?
When he came back, he handed the professor a paper. She gave it back to him. Then he ripped it up, threw it in her face, and left.
Okay, and were they exchanging any words at this time?
Yes, the professor was screaming at him, yelling at him, and just told him to get out.
How would you describe Dr. Sullivan's behavior towards Julian at this time?
It was rude. She was very, very aggressive. She was breathing heavy, so she was really mad.
Okay. And how would you describe Julian's behavior at this time?
He was cool, calm, collected.
What happened next?
After Julian left, the professor just started screaming. She told everybody to get out, and then we would all receive zeros for the day.
Did you hear from Julian after the incident in class that day?
Yes.
And how did you hear from him? Did you reach out to him or did he reach out to you?
He reached out to me as my best friend, so he called me and spilled the tea and stuff.
Okay. And what did you discuss with him when he spilled the tea? Or would you kindly elaborate on what spilled the tea means?
It means it told me how he felt about the situation, like what happened and stuff like that.
Okay. And what did you tell Julian when you spoke to him on the telephone?
I suggested that he do something nice for the professor.
What is your relationship to Julian?
That's my best friend.
And how long have you known him?
For 4 years.
And how would you, in your own words, describe Julian's character?
Honest, trustworthy, confident, sweet. He's a nice person.
No further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Kenita, may it please the court, Kenita, can you remind me how long you have known Julian?
For 4 years.
You hang out with him regularly?
Yeah.
What do you like most about Julian?
He's funny.
You ever seen Julian angry before?
Only that day in the classroom.
Is Julian a violent person?
No, never.
Do you go to Julian's football game?
All the time.
Did you go to the homecoming game?
I sure was.
Did you see Julian hit the water girl over the head and knock her out cold with a water bottle?
I didn't see that one.
Would you agree that forcefully hitting someone in the head with a water bottle is a violent act?
Yeah.
Do you agree that violent acts are done by violent people?
No.
No? What do you think of Professor Sullivan?
I think she's just all the way around a terrible professor. Terrible.
Did you and Julian share similar opinions on the professor?
Your Honor, I object.
Your Honor, I'll rephrase the question. Did you and Julian ever share your feelings with each other about the professor?
Yeah.
Were your views similar?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you also wanted to kill Professor
Your Honor, I object this witness is not on trial for attempted murder or murder today.
Sustained.
Did you suggest Julian should apologize to the professor or kill him?
I suggested that he do something nice for her.
Why do you think your best friend tried to kill the professor?
My best friend didn't try to kill the professor.
No further questions.
You may receive.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense would like to call the defendant, Julian Jones, to the witness stand.
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
May I please support? Could you please state your name for the record?
Julian Jones,
And how old are you, Julian?
22,
Where do you currently reside?
13 Fountain Drive.
And are you currently married?
Yes, but I'm seeking a divorce.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
What is your current occupation?
I'm a full-time student
Okay, and what school do you attend right now?
at Wesley College.
How long have you been a student at Westlake?
1.5 years.
And what is your major?
Law and Justice.
When are you scheduled to graduate?
May 17,
And when you graduate, what degree will you have?
Bachelor of Science.
How many classes are you taking right now?
Currently one class.
And do you like this class?
It's pretty cool.
What's the name of your class?
Forensics.
And what have you learned so far in forensics?
Just about the human body and how it decomposes and, different tactics, in order to solve a crime.
Okay. And who is your professor?
So,
And do you like Dr. Sullivan?
I wouldn't say I like her, but I think she's, a decent professor.
How would you describe your relationship with Dr. Sullivan?
We don't have a personal relationship. It's just strictly, business.